Well, greetings to you all, valiant viewers. Here we are, back in the saddle for another roller coaster week from hell. It's so hard to know what to read on next. You know, obviously all of us as readers get requests, and there are often themes in the request, and we try and do those. But there is just so much. But I was struck, viewers. My news feed this morning pulled up this thing saying Roger Stone thinks Trump has avoided a coup from Mike Pence because of the young baby aide not taking the job. Speaking of which, the next thing that popped up in my feed, this is from an article in Raw Story, this happy snap. Now, I lived for many years in Sydney. Mardi Gras is my favourite time of year. When I look at this, I do not see the evangelical husband. Call me a fag hag. Old-fashioned language, I know. So that's the Vice President, who is beyond hypocrisy. He just falls off the hypocrisy scale, as they all do. So, speaking of the hypocrisy scale that I just invented, is he really planning a coup? I always thought Pence was just in it for the waiting game, but is there something more afoot? So, let's look. I'm going to use the Japaridzi deck and see what Pence is up to. Okay. Pence. Let's have a general look first. Pence up to. Let's come on down here, viewers. Oh. Oh, weird. Okay, now, it's very clear, I have to say, for those of you learning tarot, you might not be familiar with this deck, but the distribution of cards is very clear. He's now much more active. He's engaged. I did a video on him months ago, the ghost in the West Ring, because he doesn't speak, doesn't do anything. But now he is more engaged, right? So in his immediate past, the drowned, or more traditionally, the hangman, he was hanging around, right? Now, underneath the gladiator card, the hermit, in other words, this is being done behind the scenes. So he's not like a Mark Meadows type out there gladiatorial. The two cards together, like one on top of the other, is saying he is engaged in a more active gladiatorial battle, but it is behind the scenes. His short-term outcome or thinking, the Queen of Swords, a card he shares with Lindsey Graham. I think actually the universe is outing all these evangelical men. Oh, so Queen of Swords, on a more serious note, what does this mean? It means that I think, viewers, the GOP is very rattled. I think they can see the writing on the wall. They are beginning to think they've backed a dud, and they are taking, I suspect, legal advice, because the court cards, kings and queens of swords, are court cards. There's also Justice Amy Brown, is it, doing the Manafort case. This is symbolic of the end. We all know it can't come quick enough, but Trump is now completely isolated. Pence is plotting, and he's more active than would be usually thought. So, let's see. Has he got the numbers? So, in other words, the power brokers, the Mitch McConnells and so on, are they backing Pence? Now, that's what I want to know. Obviously, he was their man from the beginning. But are they backing him yet, I think is the question. Are the cowardly GOP backing a coup? Are they backing a quiet Christian coup? Okay. Oh, I'd have to say I think they are. The volcano's ready to blow, i.e. the lid is being blown off the volcano with the legal stuff and Trump, and it's piling up, right? So it's ready to blow. They know it. Their hopes and wishes of pinning themselves to the Trump star is in the past. Now, the next card, Justice, just like the mini reading just before, placement of cards. When those of you learning tarot, the volcano is sitting on top of Justice, right? So, they know the legal system is closing in. They get the Love card. Now, apart from Pence's potential romance with his offsider, Nick Ayers, I don't think it is the Love card in the traditional romantic sense. Could be wrong there. Okay. It's about deal making. So in answer to the question, yes, they are actually making moves. I'm sure they talked about it from day one. Right, I don't think this is a new tactic, but they were going to milk Trump and his popularity with the base as long as they could, push all those hideous judges through, roll back environmental regulations so their grandchildren wouldn't be able to breathe, but they don't care. They were just prepared to milk it. But now I think it's been put on fast forward. But another question I have that I've never got around to asking, it was Manafort who chose Pence. Now, why was that? Manafort chose Pence for Trump to run with. I can see in his strategic brain, look, you get a full-blown evangelical on your team. It looks good. You can pretend to be Christian and all that, and it'll work for you, which it did. It could be as simple as that. But with Manafort, Trump, Pence, was it that simple? What was behind Manafort pushing Pence? Manafort supported Pence. Oh, wow, here we go back to the money, which is kind of weird. Okay, so that would be money, 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 and emotion. So, the 10 of discs, family money, or also in this context, dynastic money. So it could be that Manafort could see that Pence would bring in the family of the GOP. That family, of course, included the NRA. So by bringing Pence on board, Manafort, quite smartly brought the Trump campaign a whole lot of goodwill and political credit points that he might have struggled to get otherwise, given that he's not a Christian man either in thought or deed. So it did all that. So it was actually financially motivated. And should we be surprised, Six of Gardens, Six of Pentacles, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. There was obviously a handshake and a wink saying to Pence, you know, you are going to be the evangelical front to this campaign. But hey, you never know. One day you might get the big job, which is what Pence has been waiting for, obviously. Then the King of Pentacles, the greedy king, the greasy king. So this could be speaking to Trump, who occupies that role. He usually gets the Emperor or the King of Pentacles. But it could be Pence himself with, dare I suggest, viewers, closet ambitions from the beginning. So I think from Pence's point of view, my reading months ago indicated he thinks God has destined for him to be president, and that if he just waits out this guy and his nefarious ways, and of course that could well happen. But as I've said along with others, if Pence ever gets the gig because Trump gets indicted or falls over, has a heart attack or resign, any reason, he wouldn't be there for long. Okay, he'd only be there in a holding pattern until there was someone to replace him, either as party leader or in an election. So all he's ever going to get is this tiny window. But that's what he's living for. So he was happy with this deal from Manafort. They had their own deal, I think, is coming out of this. Manafort and Pence had their own deal. It was a win-win. It gave, you know, a modesty shield to Trump's sort of decadence to have this slime bag. Ugh. All right then, viewers. Well, there are so many more topics purring away that need to be got to. And I want to thank you always for your comments. I am so blessed to have you viewers. Thank you. So, off I go. I'll do another reading. Load it for you. All the best. Thumbs up. Bye.